Captain America Brave New World dropped its first teaser. X-Men 97 adds a What If writer to lead Season 3. Plus, Shawn Levy's Star Wars film finds its own scribe. All that and more right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. I'm Matthew Carroll. Today on the panel, we have Haley Hobbs. What's happening, Haley?
Oh, hey. Fresh hair, fresh takes. Let's go.
Ooh. Jay Sisson. What's happening, bud?
I don't have any fresh hair, but I got some fresh takes, I guess. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, happy to be here. It's Multiverse News Tuesday.
My hair has reached the point where I'm starting to look like the villain from Fifth Element, and I don't like it.
It's like so
Gary Oldman,
so specific. Like,
yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. That disgusting haircut. You know what I'm talking about. I hate it. It's when my hair gets too long. That's basically all it'll do. And J. Scotty St. Clair.
Yeah, I got my haircut last week, but it has been a very eventful week since we all last reconvened. So I, for one, am excited to talk about some news from some fictional universes.
That new haircut has been through a lot, you know?
Yes.
It's been a busy week. First up, we always like to read a 5-star review to thank those of you who write those 5-star reviews. And we have a 5-star review from Nate Klosterman. He says, I'm excited each week to listen to my go-to podcast for all things geeky and nerdy. The Fab Four hosts make gallivanting across the multiverse of news exciting, fresh, and worthwhile. Definitely worth the listen.
Aw, thank
always
you.
appreciated.
When I was practicing our script, I could not read gallivanting without saying galvanizing, but I'm very proud that I made it through that read.
We do a little bit of that, too. Depends on the day.
Depends on how salty Jay wants to be that day.
All right. Up first today, last week, just 2 weeks ahead of the studio's return to San Diego Comic-Con and the release of their sole theatrical outing for the year, Marvel surprised fans by releasing the teaser trailer for Captain America Brave New World. Clocking in at just under 2 minutes, this first look is chock full of characters, set pieces, and action, with a tense political atmosphere on display, and certainly harkens back to 2014's much-beloved The Winter Soldier. We know this film has been no stranger to delays and major overhauls. Do we feel this teaser trailer does Sam Wilson's Cap the justice he deserves?
I think so. As far as I'm concerned, the trailer, first and foremost, did exactly what it needed to do, and that's exciting audiences for this movie. And to that end, I feel it really delivered on the tone, style, and energy we want and expect to see from and feel from a Captain America movie. So I think by really selling that vibe so effectively and also like peppering in some big reveals, that did a lot to assuage the concerns of some fans, myself included, that we were feeling due to the film's production woes. So I will say, unfortunately, while a lot of my concerns were alleviated, I do find myself with some new concerns, and that's primarily that I'm hoping that this film doesn't get delayed again due to real-world events. Not to get in it too much, but there is an attempted assassination of a president in the footage there. So we've already known that the character Sabra, I believe that's how it's pronounced, is a character with Israeli ties, has already put the film in a difficult position. And then thinking back to like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was massively overhauled due to the global pandemic storyline. And now we have this. So it kind of seems to be inherent baggage for Captain America these days. He's a character that we ultimately want to be relevant and timely. So I think in this heightened political climate, as the world becomes, more connected, it also becomes a little more divided. So unfortunately, I think these eerie similarities that they're just going to keep happening, and I'm not quite sure Marvel can navigate it in a way that appeases everybody, but we'll just have to see.
I think it's definitely a really valid concern. I think they're lucky they got it out when they did. I think the fact that it's already out, we've all seen it in the trailer before this week's events. I think that's a little like, if this trailer would have been delayed for sure, and maybe the movie completely rewritten. But I think like now that it's already out there, I don't know. I think maybe it's a coincidence done, and maybe we all know it's in there already, so maybe it's just baked in. But yeah, I really was impressed with how much they were able to maintain the tone and of Winter Soldier and Civil War. Both of those movies felt like they were like the DNA of those movies were in this. Less so the First Avenger, but the First Avenger is very singular. But yeah, I'm impressed, and I'm excited to see Sam Wilson take the mantle, but also excited to see them continue the thread of Captain America and what he means in this new era.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're not necessarily doing the whole oh man, how am I going to be Steve Rogers? How am I going to do the Steve Rogers thing? Because we already did that. We did that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's what that show was about, was wrestling with the mantle and trying to figure out what the mantle means, in America and all of that. And so for this trailer to just call it like it is, and Harrison Ford's character to literally say you're not Steve Rogers, that was a good part of the trailer to me, because that's what needs to be established for the audiences here. I mean, the audiences are probably going to be interested in seeing this movie as a whole, but you also have to consider that a lot of the audience at large is not going to have seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and so they're going to have to they remember the thing from Endgame of getting the shield and all of that, but still they might not have checked in on this character since then, and so they're going to have to kind of find a way to separate this property from the other Captain America properties, but at the same time not leaning on that too hard, because we've done that already. He is Captain America, and with that being said, I thought this trailer did a good job of establishing that. He felt like Captain America in this trailer. He didn't feel like a guy trying to be Captain America. He was being Captain America, and I thought that was really good for the tone. Overall, I was impressed with the trailer. I thought it looked clean. It looked good. We've been promised that we would have a film that would have the tone of Winter Soldier for a long time, and we haven't really gotten that to that degree. I remember Secret Invasion was pitched that way. It's going to be Winter Soldier, it's going to be spy, it's going to kind of be that sort of thing. But this trailer does sort of have that vibe, and I think that really, at least for me, elevates it. I will say that I am still concerned for this movie, just because of all of the things we know about it. We know about the delays, the rewrites, the reshoots, and all of that. So I am still a little bit concerned about what that final product will look like. But that's taking nothing away from the trailer. I thought the trailer did a really good job of showcasing what this movie is going to be, and it got a lot of people talking. It was trending online, and that's what it needed to do.
Well, I'm stoked for this movie. I am not concerned about it at all. I think that what they've shown us in this trailer is that they've really put thought into the things that they're going to tackle, and real events notwithstanding, if Marvel's supposed to be the world outside our window, this movie is doing a really good job of showcasing that. I think the difference with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this is my personal opinion, is that the pandemic was such a singular thing that was happening across the globe that played a lot of parts into why they made the decisions they made on that show, personally. But I'm excited. Watching Sam Wilson be kind of dark and blow through a jet with his Falcon wings and then go supersonic was badass as hell. And if that's the kind of tone we're going for with this movie, I am so here for it. I think Harrison Ford looks great as Thunderbolt Ross. They handled the handoff really well, just with one simple line. And I love Harrison Ford. So I'm yes, give it to us, give it to us. And we're connecting back to an MCU movie from way in the beginning, and I think that's really cool too. It's kind of hearkening back to, hey, you liked that continuity, right? We're going back to it.
And confirmed Eternals does exist in the MCU. I mean,
Yeah.
Going on record as liking Eternals.
that's always been people have been hey, do you want to go back to the giant thing sticking out of the ocean? You want to talk about that again? I'm we will eventually. But hey, it's here.
Well, we also got our first look at Giancarlo Esposito's character, who we still don't know who he is, but, Giancarlo was doing his, rounds as of a couple of days ago, saying people still had not accurately guessed his character, so
I don't believe
interesting
that.
Stuff.
I think who they're saying that they think he is who he has got to be. I don't know. I just usually think, if there's that many people saying it, it's probably true.
Who is there a person people are saying the
GW Bridge? Yeah,
right.
He's Haley. You probably know more about this than me.
No.
A shield. Okay, he's like a shield agent or something like that.
Okay.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I
he's
think
got
we
ties to cable.
speculated that he might play a character like that. So
Yeah.
go us.
Well, and he had mentioned
like
too, like when he was doing these rounds back a few months ago, that he was going to be in this Marvel movie, and that there would probably be a series coming after him playing a Shield agent. To me, that makes it more likely that would be true. Like, I think you could theoretically do some sort of series, don't get too excited, not Agents of Shield, but something sort of along those lines,
Calm down, Agents of Shield fans. We hear you already typing.
I can already feel like the deep breaths, coming in for the, but yeah, I mean, I think to me, like that makes a lot of sense. You could do a show with that if you wanted to, like a Shield agent type or Sword or something like that type thing, and get away with it and do something kind of cool.
Well, and we saw what happened with Maria Hill going to work for Tony, and we saw what happened with Nat. But like we have no idea what happened to all the other Shield people. Like, there's tons of people with training and expertise and like knowledge and tech, and just what happened with them. I know we saw it on Agents of Shield, but even on Agents of Shield, in like season 4 or 5, they meet an entirely different Agents of Shield crew that's like been working in their own little silo on a ship, and it's like, what is going on? How many Shield agents are there out there still working in their own little teams,
Rogue nations.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Good call. All right. Well, up next, Marvel Animation has clearly found a voice they have a lot of confidence in, as What If series writer Matthew Chauncey has been hired to write the 3rd season of X-Men 97. He replaces Beau DeMayo, who wrote the incredibly well-received first season of the animated revival, as well as the yet-to-air 2nd season, before being infamously fired by Disney ahead of the show's premiere. Chauncey previously stepped up into a leadership position when he replaced What If's A.C. Bradley as the head writer for Season 3. Beau DeMayo received a lot of retroactive praise for not shying away from the social issues and commentary with his first season of X-Men 97. Do we expect these changes behind the scenes to have any major impacts on the quality or direction for the show going forward?
So I find this to be a mixed bag. X-Men 97 season 1 has been fantastic. Like, just one of the best animated shows we've gotten mainstream in recent years, in my opinion, akin to Young Justice on the DC side. And it's good to know that Beau DeMayo has written the 2nd season too before he was let go. I'm a little hesitant about a What If writer going in there for season 3, just because What If has been a little hit or miss here and there. And I'd say season 2 had more misses sometimes than hits, not overall, but compared to season 1 of What If, for sure. So not knowing what his season 3 as a showrunner looks like is kind of tough, because he's never been the main writer on something. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned about this, much more so than the Brave New World trailer and movie, just because I think it's something that there's a really solid base for, and as long as they stick with that, I think that's great. I think if you try to go too far away from it, you're going to lose what made this revival of the X-Men animated series so special.
I think that's I agree completely, and I do fear, and I think as the copy here sort of alludes, that they will go less hard hitting with the social issues, and I think that's a place X-Men has always gone and should go, and should not be afraid to tackle. And What If, I really like What If, but I like it like a roller coaster, not like a thoughtful presentation of ethics. Very rarely. It's always kind of just basic good versus evil stuff, with a little bit of like tempted to the dark side stuff. But like, I just really like X-Men for what it does, ethically, and like as a allegory for our modern times, and really like making you see a person as a human being from across divides and stuff. It's all really important, and I think it's something we all grew up watching as a cartoon, and like now it's important for the next generation and our generation to kind of be reminded of some of these things. And I love it. It's really well done, and I do fear, because I don't think What If has at all tackled that sort of thing, or really even like not even tackling the things of our world. There's just not even really like a strong version of ethics in not that everything has to have that, but it's something I love and I love about X-Men. So
yeah, I mean, Beau DeMayo clearly understands the X-Men on some kind of fundamental level that we can all see when we watch that show, and it's just not a shoo-in that the next person that comes in will have that same type of vision. And it is speculated and sort of almost confirmed that Matthew Chauncey did kind of get his hands into X-Men 97 Season 2 and do a little bit of messing around with some of the episodes. And so I think X-Men 97 Season 2 will be like, we're going to have to watch that. You know, like we're going to have to see, like, all right, does this maintain the tone, the beloved tone from X-Men 97 Season 1, or can you feel that someone else got in there and changed some things around and that made it worse for wear, you know? So there's still a lot to happen there. I mean, I think like it's I'm with you, Haley. I'm a little nervous about this. To me, these are two completely different shows and they're completely different tones, and the character work of X-Men 97 is not something that I feel like they have come close to having in What If. And that doesn't mean that Matthew Chauncey can't do that, but what I would hope is that people at Disney, but specifically Marvel Animation, will ask questions like, what made X-Men 97 successful? You know, like why did people love this? Because if they can nail that down, I think it is like what we've been saying. It's the character work, the social commentary, the ethical questions, like all of just kind of like, you know, the vibe of the whole thing. And that is something that Beau DeMayo clearly had his finger on the pulse of, the vibe that he wanted for the show. And man, bringing a new person in, it's not a shoo-in that they're going to be able to just continue that just seamlessly into another season.
Yeah, I will cross my fingers that Disney is doing this due diligence that you're talking about there, Jay, but I won't hold my breath for it because I don't know how confident that I am that they are doing that. But I don't. My take is not wildly different from what's been said. I don't know if I'm concerned or fearful as much as I just have reservations. And you know, Feige and Winterbaum obviously like what they see from Chauncey so far, but from a fan perspective, he's completely unproven. I like What If. I like both seasons of What If, but I don't know what his direct involvement in those stories was. And also, I just have to say, like, I don't think What If across its two seasons ever reaches the heights of X-Men 97. Like, Matt, you were talking about the character development and the ethical conversations there. Yeah, I think that's, you know, inherent when you have a more anthology series versus, you know, the continuing story of the X-Men. While there are some threads for What If, and I think those are some of my favorite parts, you know, getting to see the Watchers' matriculation as well as Captain Carter there. But, you know, all that being said, it does still feel like looking at the string of promotions here, it feels like a safe choice to me. And like it's been said here, I don't think safe is the right choice for X-Men. And considering Iger's statements about Disney and all its branding, like, you know, they're going to move away from strong messaging in favor of mass appeal, I have to kind of wonder, was it Beau DeMayo's, you know, refusal to play ball and maybe compromise on his messaging and his vision? Is that what got him labeled as being difficult to work with, where a guy like Chauncey might be a little bit more of a yes man?
I really, that's a really good connection to draw, and it really worries me. But another thing that concerns me is the idea that this is like animation has such a long time period between releases, and time, like right now we're talking about this show, the season 2 of X-Men 97 that's already been written. So we're talking about this and being concerned about it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it when it happens, season 3 finally happens and we've got a new writer. But most people will have forgotten about the writer change by the time that season 3 finally comes out 2 years from now. You know, right. it'll feel like I think there's a subversive sort of like, we changed writers, but you won't see an actual change on screen for 2 more years. I don't know. It's harder to track. And also, I just want to say, let the X-Men be sexy. Let it be sexy. This season was so sexy, and Beau DeMayo did a great job of maintaining that sensual quality of the X-Men and like giving us more screenshots to pass around the internet of more butts for the rest of time. And we need that as part of the X-Men series. And What If is sexless, and I don't want that.
I was going to say, I think you're going to have to bid adieu to that in season 3 based on what we know about this so far?
I will say, to end on like more of a hopeful note, maybe, if you watched The Assembled, they very much went back in time and built a show Bible for X-Men based on X-Men the animated series. I did listen to the official Marvel podcast this week, from last week actually, and the producers were on and they were like, it's very important to us that we draw inspiration from the comics. The comics are what made X-Men the animated series so good, and it's why X-Men 97 was good. So hopefully there are enough voices in the room to keep us on that great trajectory.
Yeah, I hope so too. And to your point of hopefulness, Matt Chauncey, I'm looking at his IMDb. I can't tell what his specific tastes are. Like he's part of, he wrote 5 episodes of What If. He was not the showrunner, so like us putting a lot of What If on him, he's not the head over there. He might have been just writing the kinds of stories that most fit his. I tried to track down which episodes, but I couldn't find it on IMDb. But it says written by 5 episodes, so it's possible that he has less to do with that tone, and maybe he really respects what Beau DeMayo was doing and will continue that vibe. Up next, Deadpool and Wolverine director Shawn Levy's career seems to continue to be on the upswing as his Star Wars film locked down a writer, Levy's frequent collaborator, Jonathan Tropper. Jonathan Tropper wrote 2022's The Atom Project and is well established in the TV world, having created both Warrior and Banshee, as well as working as the showrunner for Apple TV's See. There are a lot of Star Wars films in the works these days, many of which were announced prior to Levy's and have yet to receive such a significant update. Do we feel confident in this duo's abilities to get their land speeder off the ground?
Hey, it's Shawn Levy's world, and we're just living in it. I mean, this man has got Deadpool and Wolverine coming out. Marvel's begging him to do Avengers 5. They're like, please, we got the script. Just come on over and do it. Do our biggest movie of all time. And now they're just saying, what do you need for Star Wars? You want your own writer that's your frequent collaborator? Like, sure, get him in there. And it continues to speak a couple things to me. One is that Disney and just kind of like their think tank over there clearly has a lot of confidence in what Levy has cooked up with Deadpool and Wolverine. Like they feel really good about it, to continue to see more projects come his way, to see his Star Wars film get some movement and get off the ground. But also, too, it speaks to me a little bit more about how we are starting to see a lot more come behind the scenes with Star Wars. They've been off the big screen since The Rise of Skywalker. I think that has... I guess time will tell to see if that has truly benefited them in that respect, but the TV department of Star Wars has been strong. The Mandalorian has obviously been one of their more successful shows on Disney+, and then the shows have mostly been well received, from Ahsoka and Boba Fett. I mean, they've been doing a lot of work over there on Disney Plus for Star Wars. So the hope is that when they come back to the big screen, they'll have these like big budget things. They'll have these like huge production movies that they can put on the screen, and that fan base will be ready for it at that time. You know, we already know that Dave Filoni's cooking up a movie. We know that there's a movie about Rey and the New Jedi Order, and we don't know anything about Shawn Levy's Star Wars film. We don't know when it will be set. We don't know if it'll kick off something big, but I would imagine that Disney's willing to give Shawn Levy all the time in Star Wars he wants, based on kind of what we're seeing. If they're offering him Avengers 5 over there at Disney, you know, they're asking him to probably create a movie that could spin off into something else. So yeah, I mean, as far as the writer goes with Jonathan Tropper, that is not surprising on any level. These guys have worked together on countless projects, as Levy as the director and Tropper as the writer, so it makes total sense that they would come together. Levy probably told them that he would do the film only if Tropper was going to be his writer. So seeing that all come together, I think, is exciting, and I think it continues to speak to the confidence that Disney has in Levy, and I think it makes sense. I mean, Levy's a safe choice for this type of thing. He gets action very well. He shoots great action sequences. He's good at balancing a lot of different characters. He's good at like hitting the emotional beats. He's good with humor. And that's kind of what Star Wars and Marvel does, right? I mean, that's what their movies do. They kind of blend these aspects together. So from that perspective, I think Levy just kind of fits. He checks all those boxes. So it's not really surprising to me that we're seeing him get his hand in Star Wars as well as Marvel.
Did you ever think the guy that directed Big Fat Liar would go on to direct a Star Wars movie? Because that wasn't on my bingo card. But it feels like a while since we've gotten the chance to talk about Star Wars proper, the discourse surrounding the Acolyte notwithstanding. Nobody? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. All right. So let's make it about Deadpool and Wolverine then, because we're going to make it about Deadpool and Wolverine. So we haven't really had the chance to talk about it here, but there were some articles from some trades, like IGN specifically kind of comes to mind. Like they said, they got to see the first 30 minutes of the movie, 35 minutes of the movie, and it really did kind of solidify all the things we've been hearing about this really being that breath of fresh life that the MCU needs right now. And we do have to take all of that with a grain of salt because, these are people that got paid to see the movie early. So they're going to, there's a little bit of a bias there. But Jay, I agree with everything that you said. It just really speaks to the commodity that Levy is coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine. And I do think about the other films that we have in the works there. Like I think you mentioned all the ones that have like the most significant or similar traction here. But I also think about, Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron film, which we've had, I don't even know if we can really call them updates, but she's been talking about it. And then I always think about that Taika Waititi Star Wars film that's apparently still in the works. It hasn't been canceled as of this time. And is Rian Johnson's trilogy, is that officially nixed?
It seems like it's dead. Yeah, there have not been any updates on that. Anytime he's asked about it, he has not. He's not acted like there's anything in the works. So I think that's probably, we can kiss that one goodbye.
So it's kind of like just what you said at the top there, Jay. It really is Shawn Levy's world, and we're just living in it because, I imagine Chopper was his first and only choice, and not only did he get that, but it seems like his film is being fast-tracked and prioritized there. But to address the writer himself, unfortunately, I have not seen a minute of Trotter's body of work besides the Adam Project, except for maybe a few minutes of the Banshee pilot, and that did star Anthony Starr. So Anthony Starr, Star Wars. Just saying, the guy has chops to play a villain.
Oh,
just
man.
saying,
Clearly,
he would be such a good dark side. Like he wouldn't play it sinister, you know what I mean? Like he'd play it like playing that Homelander style of villain in a Star Wars movie would be so weird because they're always sort of like Star Wars villains tend to be like, hey, they're really like, hey, come be on the dark side with me, and then they take a switch.
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Right, yes, there are powers you're missing out on. Look, come over here, and then they're like, but Star does this amazing job of just being like, he's so evil and still so affable, and I think that would be a really interesting Star Wars villain.
Yeah,
I am very I'm just waiting to see what this movie's going to be about. To Scotty's point, the man did Big Fat Liar, All the Light You Cannot See. He's
his
Deadpool
IMDb page is a trip.
It's so bizarre. Weird. And maybe that's a good thing because that shows a well-rounded group of projects. So he's not just this genre. But I'm looking at this interview with Variety from 2023, and he said when Kathy Kennedy brought me on board to make a Star Wars movie, her central mandate to me was, I want a Shawn Levy movie. But what does that mean? I think that's going to be the interesting question to explore for him, as this is a very specific franchise with very specific expectations, and we're seeing now what happens if you dare try to flout them. And it's kind of like, what are you going to do? I'm just very curious to see what it's going to be about, because as of yet, it doesn't mean a lot to me, just not knowing a lot about that writer and stuff like that. So we shall see.
Yeah, I can't tell if this is a case of competent enough person to come play in their world with Shawn Levy, getting all these big gigs, or if it's a case of the Russo brothers, which I feel like they also have kind of a weird early career to move into Marvel. It's
sure.
Arrested Development, I think Rick and Morty some maybe, and then Community was the other big one. Arrested Development, Community, those are two weird ones to think they're going to make Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? What
specifically the paintball episodes of Community, I think that is actually part of what got them the job.
100%. They do a great job of spoofing action while actually shooting action, you know? And it's great. And so I think but they prove themselves. I watched a doc on them one time. It is a YouTube doc with like a bunch of interviews spliced in. They talked about how the Russo brothers are basically just like really competent at like giving you a movie in time, under budget, like doing a good job of making a movie. And that is, I think, something that attracted Marvel to them. And I wonder if Shawn Levy is that guy to them too, but hopefully he will have the creative vision. I think about, even though it's a similar like vibe to me, having these early projects that are so different than the genre stuff they move on to do. But when I think about the Russo brothers, those are inspired early projects. Arrested Development and Community are inspired in so many ways. Whereas when I look at his Shawn Levy's IMDb, I'm like, yeah, it seems like they're competent in all these styles, but there is such a range of quality. You know what I mean? And I don't know that they can. He can come in and pull off what they were able to pull off with that genre shift. But we'll see in a few days, like a week, like. A week and a half,
10 days,
9 days. Dang, come on, let's do it.
Shout out to our chat that has suggested the Darth Jar Jar Shawn Levy film.
Oh,
inspired.
They're already doing it in Lego.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's true.
Yeah, Lego got there first.
I forgot.
Yeah, but you know, all the best Star Wars content like is born out of Legos first, either in the movies or. Just in someone's
Darth
bedroom.
Jar Jar is born out of fans' nightmares.
All right, well, guys, we have a Patreon, and I think Haley wants to tell us what's going on over on the Patreon.
I do. We're halfway through the month, so you've got 2 weeks left to join our Patreon if you already haven't. It's patreon.com/multiverse newscast, $4 a month, just $1 a week, you guys. And that helps us keep the content going. And the prize is a commission piece from my friend Tommy Lombardozzi. He's a co-host on the Jacked Kirby podcast, and you can follow both of those on Instagram. And yeah, your favorite character he will draw for you. So join. Thank you.
Such a good name for a podcast, Jack.
Will he do a Darth Jar Jar?
He probably would do a Darth Jar Jar.
Ooh.
Gladly.
Good call. Should we just change the contest to that?
Yeah. It's just a Darth Jar Jar.
We don't want to lose patrons.
Patrons start bailing left and right.
It's Darth Jar Jar whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've ever
Lego
seen Star
Darth
Wars
Jar
or
Jar
not.
would be funny, though.
We will find your address and send you a Darth Jar Jar.
We're back to threatening them.
And then you have to send it to someone else in 7 days.
Or else some calamity will befall you.
It's like it follows. You're gonna.
Yeah, exactly. A Darth Jar Jar will climb out of your TV.
Miss, I coming for you.
Oh, my lord.
All right. Well, that's we're going to be right back. We got a lot of lightning round stuff to come. We'll be right back with more Multiverse news. Welcome back to Multiverse News. Up first, we would like to acknowledge our Spotify poll from this week. We asked, how did the Agatha All Along trailer compare to your expectations? 6% of you said it disappointed you. Man,
Sad.
harsh. 31% of you said about what you expected. And 56% of you said it exceeded your expectations. And 8% of you said Avada Kedavra. Which is rude.
It's a different universe.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how many dark wizards were in our like cohort of
More
listeners.
than we're disappointed in it, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know what that says about it, but
Who's the real dark wizard?
Is that an indictment on Agatha, or is it just?
I think it was the killing curse on us.
Oh, it's a killing curse on us.
I thought
I didn't
so.
read it
I was
that way.
thinking they identify as dark wizards. They'd probably have a place in a coven of chaos. But
It's true. Not looking for wizards in their right mind, witches in their right
Exactly.
mind. All right, let's move on to the lightning round. If you've heard the show, you know how this works. I'm going to read a story, and then we each can claim that story by buzzing in with our name, and we can be the one to comment on it. But once per lightning round, you get a rebuttal. So just kind of a way to keep it moving and get these stories down. Here we go. Despicable Me 4 held the top spot at the box office last weekend, becoming the first animated franchise to cross the $5 billion threshold. Newcomer Longlegs took second place with an impressive $22.6 million debut, setting a record for indie distributor Neon.
Scotty? So I still have not seen Despicable Me 4, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But these are, a couple of notable but very specific records and milestones we're talking about here. So yeah, Despicable Me, good on you. But it's kind of interesting that you have to have so many qualifiers, like animated franchise, to cross $5 billion. So that's, of course, including the Minions movies. But yeah, looking at Longlegs, this one I find really interesting because the marketing surrounding it has been kind of unprecedented. It's like really built a fever pitch around this movie. And I think, having seen it myself and seeing some of the response out there, I do think it's going to be pretty polarizing, and I'll be interested to see how this film continues to do in the coming weeks. It's not uncommon for horror movies to have a pretty steep drop off, but if the word of mouth is there, it could be a little bit of a sleeper hit for Neon.
Tiny butt, just to say that we as a human society have spent $5 billion watching Despicable Me, and I just want to point that out. I don't know if you have your head around that number, that $5 billion.
Speak for yourself.
Just needed to get that judgmental thing out there.
Do your kids like Despicable Me, Jay?
How could a kid not like Despicable Me? I think that's the whole point, and that's why it's so successful. But yeah, I find the Minions kind of irritating, but they just do something for kids,
Somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought for, possibly you were just like, not in this house. Not in this household.
Some days I'm like, not today. No, not today.
I've always enjoyed the Despicable Me and Minions trailers. And I think it was exactly the right amount of Minions. Like every time the trailers come out, I'm like, that was funny. Those Minions are cute. I've never watched a movie. Like I don't want more of that. But I
think
enjoyed the
you're
little
proving
taste.
the point right there.
Warner Brothers and Paramount have unveiled the first trailer for Watchmen Chapter 1, the first of 2 upcoming animated films set to release digitally on August 13th. The voice cast features Matthew Rhys as Night Owl, Katie Sackhoff as the second Silk Spectre, Titus Welliver as Rorschach, and Michael Cerveris as Dr. Manhattan, among other notable actors.
Scotty? Yeah, I checked this trailer out, and I think what really stuck out to me is that this seems like it's going to be the most faithful adaptation of the Watchmen graphic novel we've ever gotten. I think it's line for line, like right out of the graphic novel. So that's encouraging and that's exciting. But I do have to say the art style didn't really jive with me. It looked like it was kind of like What If, but not as good. Like they were trying to do the What If cel-shaded, overexposed kind of thing, but they were using some more like broad, harsh outlines, and it kind of looked sloppy and cheap to me. But I did happen to scroll down into the comment section of the YouTube video for this trailer, and I was surprised to see how many people were like, they should have brought back Jackie Earle Haley. Jackie Earle Haley did a great job as Rorschach, but I thought Titus Welliver, he sounds great. And I'm just kind of impressed by his vocal range, because I think back the first time I ever saw Titus Welliver was on Sons of Anarchy, where he played an Irish character, and I was convinced he was Irish. When I found out he wasn't Irish after the fact, I was blown away. So we'll see.
Michael Bay is in talks to direct Barbaric, a fantasy series for Netflix based on the Vault Comics title. It will star Sam Claflin and Patrick Stewart, with X-Men First Class screenwriter Sheldon Turner writing and executive producing the series.
Jay, this is Michael Bay coming to TV, which is interesting. If you know anything about Michael Bay, it's kind of the joke at this point, but he has big budgets, he has big set pieces, he has, lots of explosions, lots of, the Transformers movies kind of are Michael Bay, on display. Like, he's got a very distinct style. So how well will that translate to television, especially on an existing IP that he's building around, remains to be seen. But I think the talent is interesting. Getting Patrick Stewart in it is interesting as well. But there's you would think probably going to be a pretty big budget behind this, especially being something that is coming from, just all of these like big names.
Prime Video has ordered The Greatest, a limited series about Muhammad Ali from executive producer Michael B. Jordan and Ben Watkins, with Jalen Best starring as Ali. It is the first authorized scripted series with access to Ali's estate.
Haley, I don't have much to say, so I'm getting in on this one, you guys. Prime and Michael B. Jordan's production company seem to be just in cahoots because he's doing all kinds of projects that are going to end up on Prime. I believe the vampire movie that he's working on is going to be a Prime feature film, and I know last year we talked about his production company bought the rights to Fourth Wing, which is a humongous romantasy book. So to create a series for that. So yeah, he's kind of, Prime's just like writing him checks over there and letting him do what he wants. That aside, it's interesting to note that it's the first scripted series with access to Muhammad Ali's estate. So hopefully it lends it a really authentic feel. And we know, Michael B. Jordan having done the Creed movies, obviously this is something that's very important to him and something he has a passion for. And I'm sure that'll bleed through.
Apple TV Plus released a teaser for Severance Season 2, which premieres on January 17th and will include 10 episodes that release on Fridays weekly. Matt, yes! I'm so excited for this show. And my favorite thing about this trailer is it meant nothing to me. Like, I don't know anything more than I knew. It gave me the vibe of Severance, and I saw characters I liked, and I know nothing else about Season 2, and that's all I need to go back to Season 2 and revisit this world. And they've done a great job on that show of producing a wonderful mystery that's led me through the seasons, and this trailer, I did really, even if I hadn't seen Season 1, I would still know nothing about this show. Like, I love how little this teaser gave away.
Yeah, I'll use the rebuttal to say that it's been a while since Severance Season 1. I mean, it's been a long time since we've been in this world. And Severance Season 1 is so good. It's just one of those shows that, like, if people are on the fence about Apple TV Plus, it's always one of those shows that's, like, the first one that I'll recommend. It's just like, we'll get it and watch Severance with your free trial because it's the one that'll really hook you and draw you in because it's so good and it's unique. And, I'm there with you. Like, this trailer just is more confusing than anything else. I feel like I know less about Severance after watching this trailer, and that's a good thing. I went into Season 1 totally blind. No one told me anything about it. I just queued it up and started watching it, and that made the experience a lot better. So Season 2, I want the same experience from it.
Yeah.
Tiny, but I love Severance too.
That is the tiniest of butts. I like it. A prequel series to Martin, the show that ran on Fox from 1992 to 1997 and starred Martin Lawrence, is in development and will be titled Young Martin. Lawrence's production company, Run Tell Dat, will produce. Matt, I feel like this is directly off the heels of such a successful Bad Boys 4. Is that right? Bad Boys 4 just came out. And like he's had, you think of Will Smith, I think has a bigger name and he's the movie star, but Will Smith's had some that have sort of like Hollywood is always producing movies on who they think will be bankable. You know what I mean? And it seems that like Will Smith was their big bankable star, but he had a lot of stinkers. But like you'd think a Bad Boys movie, like would be the one carrying that movie, being the biggest star. But like seems that combination really is what brought butts to seats. And I think Martin Lawrence has like a big 90s kid following. And I think that shows ran in syndication forever. And I think this is a really good idea, of course, with like the young Sheldon of it all. And a young Martin sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know. It sounds a little bit just like a cash grab. I wonder if Martin Lawrence will be in it as like a father or grandfather of young Martin.
He's going to be in it. He's going to take that opportunity for everything he can get.
Yeah, I think that's true. But yeah, I'm excited to see. Let's see what this is like. Like, cause the thing about young Sheldon that I've been found interesting is it's such a different show than Big Bang Theory. You know what I mean? Like, just a different style completely. Like, it's not a 4-camera show. It's a single camera dramedy instead of a 4-camera like whatever sitcom. And I think that's cool. I think like I wonder what they'll do with young Martin. Filming on Euphoria's third season is slated to begin in January 2025, just about 3 years after the premiere of season 2. HBO says all the principal cast is set to return, including Zendaya, Sydney Sweeney, Jacob Elordi, and Hunter Schafer.
Jay, I'll file this under I'll believe it when I see it, because those 4 names, that you just read are all hugely rising stars in Hollywood and have a lot happening right now. We've reported on all 4 of those names with involvement in huge projects. And so Euphoria is what launched a lot of their acting careers and really put them in the spotlight. And ever since, all 4 of them have ran with that fame. And so this was always the challenge. If you were going to bring that show back, how are you going to rope all 4 of them back together? And among others too, not even just those 4. So yeah, that's what they say. But January 2025 is really soon, and those are some busy schedules you got to figure out how to match up together.
All right, Shelley Duvall, who starred in 7 films directed by her mentor, Robert Altman, and is best known for her role in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, died last Thursday. She was 75.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Scotty. Hollywood definitely lost a legend this week, and yeah, The Shining is my favorite horror movie of all time, and I know Shelley Duvall, she suffered, abuse at the hands of the director Stanley Kubrick in order to elicit the performance that she did, and I'm not justifying that in any way, but I think her performance is a big reason that film resonates the way that it does and terrifies people and makes your hair stick up on end, is her reactions to what's happening there. So as far as her work with Robert Altman, I know it obviously speaks to her kind of loyalty there. He kind of found her, and she always was loyal to him, always appeared in his films. The only collaboration that they saw that they did that I saw was Popeye, where she was olive oil. So, worth a watch. But yes, rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. Condolences to her friends, family, and fans.
Shannon Doherty, who starred in Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed, has died after a long battle with cancer. She was 53.
Scotty, another sad story to bring up here. I'm not as familiar with Shannon Doherty's body of work there, but I know her work on 90210 is what most people know her from. And, just considering the fact that Luke Perry passed away a few years ago, relatively young as well. And if I'm not mistaken, those characters were kind of romantically entangled. So I'm sure fans of that show are really feeling it right now. But once again, condolences to everyone that she impacted.
On Monday, Netflix released a behind-the-scenes video of production of the final season of Stranger Things, featuring looks at the set, returning cast, and new characters. The series is currently expected to debut sometime in 2025.
Jay, this season is going to be massive for Stranger Things. It's been one of Netflix's flagship shows for what is basically a decade at this point. You have this cast that has grown up on screen and gotten bigger and bigger opportunities, and this will be the final season of Stranger Things. So there's a lot riding on this last season. There's a lot that it has to do. Recently, Maya Hawke, who's one of the stars of the show, was asked about filming, and she basically said, well, because I think it's like 8 episodes or something like that. And she was like, well, we're making 8 movies, basically, like these episodes. Basically implying that these episodes were going to be very long, like very big budget, like multiple hours. And the last season of Stranger Things was like that. Like there were some of those episodes were like almost 2 hours long in that last season. So, I think it's going to be huge. It's going to go for the rest of the year. They're probably not going to wrap up filming on this until December. And then you've got a lot of work to do in post-production. So they say 2025. That's probably late 2025, I would imagine, before you'll see this last season of Stranger Things. But a lot of anticipation here.
Timothy Chalamet will star and produce Marty Supreme, an original film by Josh Safdie and A24. According to the sources close to the production, Marty Supreme is a fictionalized story, though Variety reports that it is inspired by professional ping pong player Marty Reisman.
Scotty? Yeah, this one's interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, Josh Safdie, he and his brother Benny Safdie, they were collaborators and partners for the longest time. And I think this is the first project of Josh's that we've heard that he's doing on his own there. So you've got that element, and then you've got the Timothée Chalamet of it. And, I can't help but, compare him to Zendaya. They're both current A-listers. They were in Dune together, and she had her Challengers film. So it kind of feels like this is Chalamet's opportunity to have, and it's just so appropriate that instead of tennis, he's going to downgrade to ping pong. And again, it was Legendary Lionsgate, I think, that did Challengers, so they put a little bit more of a budget into that. I think with A24, it's going to be a little bit of a smaller movie, but again, this is it real life? Is it a fictionalized story? I think that's just inherently interesting, and I'll be curious to check it out.
Rian Johnson's Peacock series Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne, has filled out the cast of its upcoming second season, adding Katie Holmes, Kumail Nanjiani, Giancarlo Esposito, and Gabby Hoffman. Matt, Rian Johnson can get a cast, man. Goodness. I've loved his work in the Knives Out movies a lot. Just really, really killing it over there. And I feel like those movies and all of his work have really given him this cachet that people are just answering his phone calls, And a lot of times it seems like smaller projects just released on Netflix or whatever, but man, it's some really big names in there. So excited to see it. I really like his work. His Star Wars movie is one of my favorites. I know it's very divisive, but it's one of my favorites. And I love, like I said, love the Knives Out films. So excited to see anything he does. Netflix has given a series greenlight to Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen, a horror drama from executive producers the Duffer Brothers and Hilary Levitt, via their Upside Down Pictures overall deal with Netflix. The series is created by Haley Z. Boston, who will serve as executive producer and showrunner.
Jay, the Duffer Brothers continue to be a pillar at Netflix. I mean, they signed an overall deal, and we're seeing it at work. They locked them down after Stranger Things rose to popularity, and we will continue to see more Duffer Brothers horror-centered things, films, series, all of that on Netflix. That is where they want to keep them there, and the Duffer Brothers want to be there, and so this is one of many that you would expect to come out of their camp.
And what a great Tiny Butt! What a great connection to have when making a horror drama series, and like I said, created by this Haley Z. Boston, who I'm not much aware of her other work, but it's a great connection to be able from the producers of Stranger Things. While that's ending, here's the next thing. Total no brainer. Following the release of the official Comic-Con schedule, it has been confirmed that DC Studios under James Gunn will not be hosting a panel at the event.
Scotty, what are you doing, James? What are you doing?
He's posting on Threads, Scotty. He's fine.
Who needs Comic-Con?
I think this is a massive miscalculation and misstep, and I think it's going to bite them in the butt when, after Comic-Con, everybody's talking about Marvel again, and DC's left in the dust.
Tiny Butt. Well, I mean, they're filming Superman, so that might be the only, thing really keeping them from doing it.
They put people on planes all the time and send them over for a day. He can get away.
I really do think he's no, I've got social media.
Where's Peter Safran at? He's part of this too. Why? Yeah. I don't know.
No, he's not.
He's DC what now? I don't know what that is. This is such a head scratcher. It's you've got Marvel there. That's your main competitor. You've got Creature Commandos coming up in a few months. You're filming Peacemaker. You're filming Superman, which will be out before the next Comic-Con. You've got Supergirl around the corner. You've got a director for Batman, Brave and the Bold, but no casting yet. There's so much you could talk about. I think it's such a head scratcher that they would not come and do something. Now, Matt Reeves will be there because he'll be talking about Caped Crusader, and I'm sure he'll talk about the Batman Part 2 and the Penguin and all that. I'm sure he'll get asked about that, and he'll talk about that. But still, even then, it's you want, if you're James Gunn, you want Matt Reeves to be successful, but at the same time, it's do you want him getting all the DC headlines? You've got, I don't know. It's just, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that you wouldn't go to Comic-Con, but I don't know, whatever.
It makes sense in two ways to me. and that is that, well, I guess really just one. James Gunn can't shut up and is releasing all the information already. We already know a lot. Just he's every week we're hearing something else from him, and it's like sometimes it's not even sure if it's real because it changes and shifts. I just, yeah, it feels like James Gunn has not had a good Feige like lockdown on all the information, and therefore it's putting a lot of I don't know. It's not giving them much to release. I feel like there's not much. I don't want to know much more about the Superman movie until I get a trailer.
That's fair. It's fair.
You know.
Yeah, we had those set photo leaks. It was kind of like, okay.
That's your Comic-Con. That's all you get, leakers. Jay, you mentioning Matt Reeves' presence, that immediately made me question, is Todd Phillips and the Joker of Folie à Deux, is that going to have any presence? Are we just saying that the DCU's not going to have a panel? Or
I'm not sure about Phillips.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I did a quick look at the schedule the other day, and I don't remember seeing anything about it, but I might have missed it. There's a lot, like tons of panels, so you just kind of have to scan through it. Sure. There's so many. But yeah, one at least, like the DC Studios name is sort of separate from their Elseworlds. So, absent the DC Studios one, you could still, like Matt Reeves as an example, you could still have somebody representing another DC thing out there.
Sure.
While speaking with the New York Times, Ryan Reynolds revealed he forwent his paycheck on the first Deadpool and used the salary to pay the screenwriters.
Haley, you want to take this one?
What is wrong with you? Honestly, my take on this is that he wanted to have the movie be what he wanted it to be, so he was willing to sacrifice for that. And I think that that's accurate. He wants these Deadpool movies to be the way he wants them. So, I mean, can't hate him for that.
Yeah.
He did make it sound like, oh, poor me. And I was like, okay, Ryan.
Yeah, what is that, like, cell phone company he has? It's worth like $1 gajillion. Like,
Mint Mobile? I mean, how can you be on YouTube?
This was back in the day on the first one, but like he had rom-com money. He was fine.
The proposal was pretty good.
I mean, he's married to Blake Lively, too. Like, she's got some cash. They're doing all right.
She's got that CW
They're not
money.
hurting.
All right. Well, that's all the stories for this week.
How dare you guys put that on me?
You did great. It was perfect.
It was good.
You were the Haley we needed in that moment.
Don't get no respect.
We all know that it's a bit on the show that you don't like Ryan Reynolds. So it's like if we get
I know.
to,
My hairdresser and I had a conversation about it today.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, that's it for this week. We will be back next week with lots more multiverse news. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to our wonderful chat on YouTube that every week a bunch of the same names and faces we see in the chat every week. And it's just a lot of fun. You guys seem to be having a good time. So every Tuesday night, we don't mention it enough, but every Tuesday night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 8:30, 7:30 Central, we do this live. So hop on YouTube, youtube.com/strandedpanda, and we're there doing this live, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of people in the chat, a lot of fun conversations going on. So makes me always like kind of wish I could partake more, but if I do that, I stop being able to read the script. So all right, well let's go around the table and tell everybody where they can find our stuff online. Haley Hobbs.
Yep, our last Deadpool primer dropped on source pages, so we talked about 2011's Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and it's kind of a short conversation because, that's how it is.
Awesome. And Jay Sisson.
Yeah, I'm at Commute the Podcast Weekly, where we'll cover a couple interesting things in about 20 minutes or so. Friend of the pod, Reed Murphy, his show, The 313 with Reed Murphy. Haley and I are going to be on that. 323, excuse me. Haley and I are going to be on that show later this week. So if you aren't subscribed to Reed's show, he was on our show a couple weeks ago. So if you aren't subscribed to his show, go check that out, and we'll pop over there later this week and be on one of his episodes.
Awesome. And J. Scotty St. Clair.
Yeah, over on Always Watching, we have been covering The Boys Season 4, and that will be having its finale this week. So that'll be our final episode on that feed for that show anyway. There are other shows being covered there. I also appeared on Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater to talk about Long Legs, and that was a lot of fun because the three of us were very excited for that film. since we saw the first marketing, Bill Bria had the chance to see the film way ahead of everybody else. So it was just a really great conversation. And then not to be too long-winded here, but just in case you don't listen to the end of the episode and hear Matt's tag, if you're listening to us on a platform other than YouTube, go ahead and head to the YouTube, check out Stranded Panda, give a like and a comment on this video if you would be so kind. We appreciate it.
Yeah, please. And we'll be back soon. And I'm also over on Always Watching a lot this next coming weeks, finishing up the coverage of House of the Dragon and The Boys with Jay Scotty, and then Ashley Coffin's on both those with me. And they're also covering The Acolyte. We're not on those. You're not on that, right, Jay Scotty? That's Haley,
not that
Me,
one.
Jeff, and
Ashley,
Ash, yeah.
and Jeff.
Last
yeah.
one.
So check out all those shows on Always Watching. We've really been trying to let everybody know about that show this month with so much going on. Lots of great content. Lots of you have come to listen, and that means a lot to us. And we'll be back with more multiverse news. Oh, and check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, because this is a big week for us. We got 2 big trailers. We did breakdowns of both with Agatha and with Brave New World. And this coming week is Deadpool and Wolverine. And so it's just too much crazy content happening. I'm very excited. So join us. And we'll be back next week on Multiverse News. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. Strandedpanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts. And thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.